So welcome everybody to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Chiama, and I'm the owner of the Action Coach franchise here in Fairfax, Virginia. And I'm your host today of the Business Spotlight series. So today I have the pleasure to introduce Samuel Richardson, the co-founder, CEO, and business development person of It's All Good, as my guest. And today we're going to talk about Samuel's business, his journey into business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a new show like this drops. Samuel, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. And please give us a little bit of background about who you are and tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Stephen. I appreciate it, and it's always good to be here. So, a little bit about me, as you kind of mentioned, I am the co-founder. I do have a business partner, and I run It's All Good Junk Removal and Donations. We've started niching down a little bit more. I'll talk about that, but you can see right behind me here. This is essentially what my operation looks like. Right, we've got a bunch of these big green trucks, and we go around and take away unwanted belongings from people's homes and businesses, and people who are downsizing their life, and we try to get those items into the hands of people who can use it. So we kind of think of ourselves as kind of like Robin Hood, take nice, lightly used items and go back out and redistribute them to organizations and people who have a need for those types of things, so that they
Yeah.
don't just get thrown away. That's part of the business. We do still have to throw things away, but for the most part, that's what we do.
Awesome, 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 awesome. So let's just go a little bit into the structure of the business. You've got a partner,
Yes, sir.
investors, outside investors, anybody else out there?
No outside investors. We have some shareholders. My wife and my business partner's wife.
Okay, all
They
right.
very high vested interest in our success and have played a
Yeah,
big role in that. But
yeah.
in terms of monetarily, no, it's the two of us. We started off with a third, and we've already been through a partner buyout at this point in our business. But we got two of us now.
What did you learn from that buyout process?
I think the number one thing I learned in the beginning, I will have to eat some humble pie here and say that at the point in time, we can talk more about this. We were working with you actually through some coaching, and to your great advice and many other people who tried to share this with us early on, that we should have a operations agreement between us as partners. And we thought we were all good friends. We, as many people I think who go into business at early ages do, we thought no worries, that's not a big deal. Don't worry, we can handle it. I would absolutely go back, even as best buddies, and I would set up an operations agreement and expectations for one another, as well as what we're willing to sacrifice, as well as what the expectations and kind of deliverables are for each of our roles. And I would set that up on day one, because
Awesome.
that's really where it comes down to, as well as just like a marriage, having some sort of regular line of communication where we can hash those things out and make sure we're still on the same page.
Awesome, awesome. That was such a big learning for so many people. That matters so much. Where do you see it going from here?
Yeah, really good question. So, we've been able to have some success here in Northern Virginia. So we've dominated this market quite a bit, but we know that there's still a lot of business left. So I'm one of those people who's very easily distracted, and I know this about myself. One of my favorite quotes actually is "Know thyself." Knowing this about myself, I have to be very committed to staying focused, and that's really what we've decided, is that we want to stay very hyper focused on growing just Northern Virginia. That includes really the Loudoun County area, Fairfax County, Arlington, Alexandria, and kind of that upper northeastern side of Prince William. And really, we're focused on just absolutely, when we feel like we've absolutely dominated this market and we've got kind of a figure in mind, we feel like we've maxed this out for all it's worth, then we'll look into either A, starting some auxiliary services or something that allows us to expand upon what we're already doing, or two, the less likely one, which I don't really want to do, is expand. Just from a bandwidth perspective, I really, really enjoy being able to operate in a market where I can meet my clients, see the people we work with, know my team, and I'm sure somebody like you could change my mind on that. But for right now, that's where we're at.
All right, so but we're going to pick up on a little bit of what you just said. A little bit more into who do you serve? Who's the target audience, and why that?
So the very end user, the person that our service essentially delivers very well for, is the person you think about for many of us as adult children who have aging parents, or if you are what you would consider an aging parent, if you're somebody who has been in the same home for 20, 30, or 40 years, you've got a paid off mortgage and you're thinking, what's the next phase of life where I slow down a little bit more, or maybe speed up and try to get out of having things weighing you down, like a house and dogs and pets, and you got kids out of the house. That person is the person we come in and we help them as they're downsizing or right sizing in some cases, get rid of everything inside of a home. It's a daunting task. We work with a lot of families who are maybe moving overseas and not taking anything with them. We're in Northern Virginia. There's a lot of military families, government employees. So that situation happens more common than you would think. And then the other side of it is mostly our clients are downsizing. So they're downsizing, or so there's been a death in the family, an estate is having to be, kind of purged of all the things remaining in it. There's usually a real estate transaction that's trying to happen on the back end of that. And so the thing that is in between them and that real estate transaction, or a family and just kind of getting through the grieving process, is all the stuff inside of the house. And our job is to come in and kind of one full swoop, take care of everything inside of there, make sure it gets out, make sure it goes out to be redistributed to donation centers, recycling centers, if it's paper shredding, if it's Chinaware, if it's things that people can use out in the marketplace or in nonprofits. We go out and make sure those items get delivered and can be rehomed or reused.
Very good, very good. What makes you unique? Why you? Why this? Why it's all good?
That's a really good question. And honestly, for about 5 or 6 years, I could not answer that question. Not very well, anyways. But over the last couple of years, we really narrowed down the fact that what makes us different is that between me and my business partner, I got into the industry and had kind of an immediate passion for it beyond just making money because I had to do it for my dad. In 2014, he passed away in 2014, but in 2012 he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I spent a very intentional year of my life, dropped everything and went back and spent, essentially 8, 12 months with him, just going to doctor's appointments and helping him kind of get by with life as he was going through treatment. And at the end of that, we ended up, me and my sister, we were in our early 20s, had to, literally do what I do now for him, for his estate. 2-story house, 2 20-foot storage units that were back to the brim, family heirlooms, things that I grew up with, parts of my childhood, all that stuff. We had to address and touch every single thing. So for me, it was much deeper whenever we started thinking about what makes us different. To be honest with you, there's a lot of people who can come pick up your couch off the curb. As a matter of fact, people listening to this, there might be some of you guys who even add, junk removal is a very common home service, kind of add-on service. If you're in the moving industry or landscaping, they're like, yeah, we can do junk removal too because we got trucks, right? It's a very common add-on. There's not very many people who understand the emotional side of it and the kind of the empathy piece that comes along with having to get rid of like half your life or all of the things that have been your possessions. And that's really what makes us different. When it comes to, clearing on an estate or somebody who's got a lot of emotional situation, like losing a loved one or having to get rid of somebody's stuff that they love, or maybe reluctantly having to get rid of their things in the situation of like evictions or somebody who's having to downsize because of a divorce, these types of scenarios, we really train our team on a higher level of empathy and understanding to know exactly what these people are probably feeling. And then we make them feel a lot better about having to part ways because we also ensure that they're going to give the best chance we possibly can to getting those items to a resource, a home, like a donation center or some sort of nonprofit, or maybe it's a faith-based organization where somebody can inevitably use it again, which makes people feel a lot better about going through that process.
Is that in a way what led you to choose this particular kind of business to go into?
I think that that's a huge part of it. In the beginning, if you had asked me to identify that, I couldn't have clearly stated it and I couldn't have known very well. I hadn't kind of honed in on that idea. But the longer we stayed in business and the more we did this, the more I just gravitated to that type of client and that type of situation. And I absolutely would come alive in a situation where I was talking to somebody who had just had this kind of insurmountable situation, right? My mom just passed away, my dad's going through something, and I've got to get rid of his whole house here. In a lot of cases, these people didn't even know that this happened. They didn't know the house was, overwhelmingly stuffed with stuff, and they hadn't been to the home in 10 years, or maybe it was the house they grew up in and they moved away and they hadn't seen it in 4 or 5 years since mom or dad's health started deteriorating. So in those types of situations, to just kind of come in and be that calm in the storm and say, hey, this is easy for us. We're going to make sure you're taken care of. We're going to make sure these things go to a good home. And I promise you, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. To see that sigh of relief and the people at the end of those projects and how happy they are. Many times it involves tears, but those situations really just brought me to life and made me excited about growing this type of a business for sure.
Yeah, I kind of got into the why this business a little bit before I got into why did you go into business? Because there's two sides to this question. Why did you decide to go into business?
Really good question. So I had already kind of tasted the water and tasted the Kool-Aid, if you will, of entrepreneurship. I got involved with some direct marketing companies early on in my college career. So I was in
Ah,
college,
yeah.
direct marketing. For anybody who's ever done direct marketing, say what you will about the industry, multi-level marketing, that kind of thing. One thing does incredibly well is it has a very strong education system for kind of capitalism and entrepreneurship, and it teaches you a lot about how to essentially take ownership over your life. And that was really one of the things that really stuck with me. Even though I had kind of exited the industry of direct sales and direct marketing, I had very much so planted the seed of I cannot wait to take control of my life. And whenever I came back from that year off with my dad, and he had passed away, and we were kind of done with the estate, I was working in a nonprofit job, which was incredible. Worked with a very close friend of mine, and I would sit at my desk every day and just wonder, like, there's got to be more to. There's got to be more. Like, I've got to be able to do more. I'd finish my work very quickly. I've always been kind of an efficiency person, get things done quickly, find the easiest and best solution to get there. I call it ambitiously lazy because I'm always looking for the efficient way to get things done faster with less resources. I was sitting at my desk one day and I was thinking, you know what? I want to go do something. And an ad popped up actually for, I think it was like foreclosure cleanouts. And it said something about clean out junk out of houses and make, millions of dollars or whatever it was. And I was like, that was the one thing, the catalyst that made me think I just got to do it. Like I just got to get started, right? So I approached my friends, Adam now and my other friend at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go buy a pickup truck and I want to start this business. I just want to start, taking away people's junk and maybe we do some flips or renovations. We never found a single property to flip, never did. But we did start taking people's couches whenever you find out in Northern Virginia. Not a whole lot of people drive pickups. So we got started getting those phone calls. Hey, can you guys come get a couch? Can you come get this crap out of my backyard? And then that quickly turned into a very steady, steady flow of junk removal leads. And that's what really allowed us to niche down and stay focused on just junk removal and donations.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you had, on one hand, you had the entrepreneur virus,
Yeah,
and on the other hand, you had a particular experience of your own to drive you towards this particular idea.
exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, what has been, I mean, for you, it's been a journey. I've seen some pieces of it. What has been the most memorable hurdle you've had to overcome along this way?
Ooh. Memorable hurdle. I would say that I would not necessarily recommend this, but I would say that if you're going through it, I would encourage you to find other people going through it at the same time. I got my business started in the same year that I met my now bride, my wife. And we started dating and courting during that time. We got engaged in about the second or third year. We had children in about the year 4 or 5, and going through the dating courting while also trying to stay focused and honed in on a business that you're very passionate about, splitting that, that whole kind of myth about work-life balance was more
Ha!
really about was more really about finding somebody who understood that I had a passion and really a seed of something that I wanted to bring to life. And
Mhm.
thank God I met the woman I did, because I think that outside of even business, that's the one greatest decision you'll ever make in your life is who you decide to spend it with. And she was so supportive. But starting a business and getting it off the ground in the earlier days, especially home services or a business where you physically have to be present to make the thing happen, it was incredibly challenging. And there was many times when it was like, what am I doing? I don't even understand why am I fighting this battle right now? But I will say that what helped was being surrounded by incredible people who had marriages I respected, businesses that I respected, and both of those at the same time. And they could give me some perspective. Sometimes it's just as simple as, hey, you're in a very short season, just keep pushing through, right? Just don't quit. Just keep investing in each other, keep loving on each other. Your business is going to take off. Don't worry, you're doing all the right things. Sometimes it's just that encouragement. Some of that you even gave to us. I remember many times where it's just like, hey, I know that you don't see the results yet, but you're doing the right thing. And then on the flip side of that, it was also sometimes that I was being a bonehead or a knucklehead, and I just needed to stop doing whatever I was doing. So again, I guess all that to say, the biggest challenge is really, if you're going through multiple phases of life between relationships and progression in your business, to really make sure you surround yourself with really good counsel. Because if it hadn't have been for some of the key relationships in my life, I don't know that I would have made it through that.
What would you say to somebody who came up to you and said, I want work-life balance?
Well, I would say good luck.
Good
Good luck with
luck.
that. Yep. I think
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you before, but I'm a big believer in work-life integration, and I'm much more convinced that that's possible than I am work-life balance because
Hmm.
they really don't separate very well when you're passionate about what you do and when you love what you do and you have high aspirations for what you want to do with it.
Mm. There's an issue about priorities.
Right.
It's a priorities balance. It's not a life balance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Um, Talk to me a little bit about you've built a team. What's been your experience in the team building, team leading, team managing world?
If I had to sum that up in one phrase, it would be your business and your team will never outgrow your own personal development.
Good.
And so I think that, the biggest thing was frustrating for us, especially early days. We hired some people who, quite frankly, were better than we deserved because we were figuring out a lot of things about business and we were making some pretty crazy mistakes. And, thankfully, we had some people who stuck it out with us. They weren't perfect by any means, but, honestly, I look back and I think I wouldn't have stuck around as long as they did. But I think that the biggest thing that we've always had going in our favor is that we were very communicative about how much we care and that we were always very honest with people and even about our shortfalls. Hey, we're not the best at this. We're trying, but we're not the best at this. And I think that people who have worked for us have always been very understanding that, at least we're honest about that. We're not trying to fake something we're not. But on the flip side, there's definitely been some of the biggest challenges we've had have been in our staff. And as somebody who tends to see the best in people and wants to believe that people are inherently good and want to be good people. We've been burned so many times, and I would encourage people who are in that situation, who especially home services we deal with a lot of turnover in some cases, and people who maybe are just looking for their next paycheck and not necessarily in trying to invest in a team or do anything much more than just make money is that don't let the actions of one destroy the spirit for many, because that spirit of giving to others and being the person that people that goes above and beyond for people who maybe are in a tough situation, your employees and your team often. There's times when we've thought, why do we keep on believing in people? Like, why do we keep on giving them these opportunities and giving them additional, maybe sources of income? Or we've done so many things where we thought we were helping somebody just for them to turn around sometimes the next day and make us feel like idiots because they're like F you or I'm off or quit, whatever the case is. But we never let that stop us from doing it for the next person because we've had some incredible people who are still with us now who've stuck around because of those exact same reasons. Because hey, you guys helped me out. You put me in a situation where I didn't have an opportunity and now I did. Whatever the case is, you've invested in my personal development. And those are the types of things that some people will take for granted, but many people will not. And I'm glad we keep on doing it.
Let's go from that. You've learned a lot then. Um, how do you today approach recruiting and hiring?
Core philosophy is really good people, no good people. And that's
Ah, good,
kind of
good.
our core philosophy. It is just like everything else. It has nowadays become very expensive to hire and get, what I would call hiring leads or, staffing leads.
Yeah.
So the best way is to find, spend the time and energy, especially if you're networking. That's our best hires have come out of people who we know and just ask them,
Hmm.
hey, do you know anybody looking for a job?
Hmm.
And then once we find a good person, you typically can ask that question, who do you know? That's
Hmm.
also a good person.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
honestly led us. We've got right now um, maybe 5 people on our team who are the result of one person on our team.
Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Double benefit for them, right? When you set clear expectations for jobs and you make sure you have accountability, that's kind of a key piece here. But when you find good people, they want to work with their friends. They want to have a fun culture to work with. And when you're doing something like junk removal, where quite frankly, the work can be pretty arduous and painful and hurt some days and not be very pleasant, it makes it a lot better to work with people who you like and people who you can have fun with and our team really knows how to not take that for granted and enjoy working with each other. And then they just keep introducing us to more and more of their friends, which is awesome.
You used a big word, expectations.
Hmm.
How do you approach expectations in a team building organization structure?
Really good question. We are still getting better at this, so I want to make sure I add this in that it is something that's ever changing, ever evolving. But we are very from day one, we have learned that it is in nobody's service to avoid tough conversations, especially early on. So if you have something that you know is a typical issue, or maybe people eventually, like, we used to have a hard time telling people that they might get dirty and hey, this job might be hard, or you might have to crawl in a basement crawl space and have bugs and stuff on your head and all that. And nowadays, we lead with that stuff. So we are very upfront. This is the job. This is what it entails. This is what we expect of you. This is what we expect you not to do. And from day one, I think that especially when you're working with young men, but I think our the women on our team too, they really want that clear communication, because I think everybody's had a bad boss that just was maybe passive aggressive or didn't share with them, what their expectations were. Or they feel like they're always behind the eight ball, and why does it feel like I'm never performing? So we've just learned people really do value and appreciate honest, truthful expectations. Like, hey, if I'm doing something wrong, let me know respectfully, but let me know. And
Mm-hmm.
we also make that a two-way street, which this is probably where some people may have a really hard time, but we have always been very honest to our team. If we are doing something wrong, or you feel like we are not respecting you, or something's gone over our head, you have the liberty to tell us respectfully, but you can come to us. We want to know those things and we want to get better. And that also creates a lot of positive culture within our team, where everyone understands that they can pull me aside and say, hey, Sam, I really feel like maybe we need to talk about this, or maybe across the team, some people have been chatting about this and I think it needs to be addressed. And we really respect that.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's look ahead. What does the future look like in 5 or 10 years?
Mm. Yeah, really good question. So, we've gotten connected to some really good folks over the last couple of years who have really put in our mind kind of for those of you who have ever read the E Myth, right? Like, if you're not growing a business to sell, then you just bought yourself a job essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So we started looking at the business a lot more like an asset. We started realizing we've got some systems that really need to, be updated and improve dramatically. So for the next 5 to 10 years, we've really just been working hard on our goals are all set around making this a lot more autonomous, for we're not the secret sauce. And
Mm-hmm.
then we want to make sure that if this is something that our second generation, my business partner and I both have boys who are the same age,
Mm-hmm.
daughters who are the same age, and if those kids want to come up and they want to take over, but the thing that I love most about the junk removal business is it is a simple concept. We are
Mm-hmm.
taking junk out of people's houses. So I love the fact that this simple concept is such a great way to learn entrepreneurship. And I hope that my kids will at least catch that, like you said, catch the passion, right? Catch the entrepreneurial spirit. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to have this simple business to be able to continue to teach them and provide opportunity, not just for them, but also, like, there's people in my family, my extended family, that we've been able to provide employment opportunities, education opportunities, bring them in for helping us out with projects. So having a business and having such a simple concept of a business, I'm not building houses or anything crazy. It allows me to get people that I love involved. And so really, we just want to continue to grow a business that allows us to extend opportunities to people. And then also for me to hopefully pass on something to the next generation that they can either, maybe we sell it, maybe we continue to, cash flow it, and I can turn this concept and my skill sets into something else. I definitely have more things in me. I know I want to do more businesses, but for right now, it's all about kind of creating that autonomy and allow us to just have a really incredible service that, quite like I said, dominates Northern Virginia. We want to be the go-to business for junk removal, donations, and estate cleanouts in Northern Virginia.
Okay. Okay. So you don't see AI as a threat anytime soon.
For the physical work, no, but I will say I am cautiously aware of how fast AI is encroaching in all of our businesses.
Yeah.
We
And,
have a
and
very respectful appreciation for it right now.
yeah, there is a touch to that. You say the physical work, and I'm not sure. Robots are going to be able to do a lot of the physical work at some point in time, a long time, but some point in time. But there's another aspect that you touched on right at the beginning, and that is when we're dealing with a death in the family, dealing with a compassion.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be a stretch before it isn't going to be people that are providing that compassion as opposed to um, machines. in some form or another. But interesting, interesting.
Another
If
piece of
you,
that too. Oh, sorry. If I could just add one more thing, another
yeah,
piece of
please.
why we focus on the service we do with like the estates and the downsizing is because that means that most of our demographic of our client base is going to be probably 70 and above. If
Hmm.
not, they're going to be adult children. But a lot of the people we interact with, they still want to have a phone conversation. They still want to talk to a real person. And for a while, I would imagine that we will always have to have that solution available to our inbound, prospects and customers because AI will dominate a lot of younger generations, but there's going to be for the next 15 years those people who, quite frankly, just don't want to think about it. They don't want to deal with it. So we will adapt and have those solutions in place, but we also understand that we're going to have to, because of who we serve, have solutions that still allow them to have heavy access to kind of your traditional methods of communication.
Real human compassion.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. If you started your business again today, what would you do differently?
Hmm, that's a great question. If I was actually to start over again, if I'm being really honest with you, I would actually not start the business at all. I would have started working for one of the largest companies in my space, and I would just spend 2 years of my life doing nothing but learning. I would have
Mm,
absorbed every ounce of information and leadership that they'd be willing to invest in me, and I would have gotten as much information as I could so that I could hit the ground running a lot faster. There's still things that I know I could take away from working for a large national or international corporation that does what we do, mostly from a marketing and sales and how much data drives decisions. Like that's
mm,
the one thing that fascinates me is how much large companies value data and what they do with that data. And there's a whole world that I haven't seen when it comes to mergers and acquisitions and how they value data and marketing that I really wish I had had some sort of corporate background or some sort of higher level entrepreneurial understanding before I got started because it would have changed a lot about how we operate. So I'm still learning, getting around smart people, but if I could go back and do it all over again, I actually wouldn't have started myself. I would have learned from somebody for a few years and then I would have come out and really done my own thing.
that's a good piece of advice, actually. Good, 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 very good. All right, so we're going to start into some rapid fire questions as we head towards wrapping up here. What's the key to success for you?
Very good question. The key to success is I like I told you, I have the mentality nowadays that if there's something that is standing in the way of me and what I where I want to be, I convince myself and I'm of the mindset that I have to love it. And I convince myself that I love the work. And at this point in my life, I've successfully convinced myself that all the things that stand between me and my future that I want, I love the process. I am obsessed with the process. Learning, the education side, meeting people, networking, getting to know people, investing in people, and helping them get to their goals. All of those things, I have convinced myself that it is not work and it is not something that I have to dread, but I absolutely love it. And the more I convince myself I love it, the more I continue to actually love it. And it actually now brings me joy. I feel like when I'm not doing these things that I am not nearly as happy as I am when I'm alive and meeting people and connecting and making things work out in the marketplace. So the whole concept of fake it till you make it, I think that there's something there
Hmm.
that really does. When you just do the hard thing long enough, you actually love the thing.
Yeah, liking something is a decision,
Hmm.
not an event.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
you got to push through. I know everybody wants the warm and fuzzies when you're starting something, but
yeah.
honestly, you just do the hard things and eventually you start to love them and then you see results.
And I was joking with somebody the other day that we're talking about businesses that just seem to appear out of nowhere and they're already on their way to $1 billion, and we sat there and said, yeah, okay, so they had 20 years of homework before they got there.
So
Nothing
true.
ever just shot out of nowhere.
Exactly. I know it's so true.
Fantastic. So, if you walked out of here and tomorrow morning you were at a networking event and you ran into a aspiring business owner or somebody who is literally just getting going, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
I actually was just sharing this with somebody, so very relevant. I would say, find out really early on, define what you want really early on. For 4 or 5 years, I probably watered down my results and my success. I was not unwilling to do hard work, but I had no idea why we were doing it. And I didn't define who we wanted to serve. I had no idea. I just knew we wanted to be successful. And because of that, I didn't know who to ask for. I didn't know how to properly leverage relationships. I didn't know what I was even saying when I was going into a networking event aside from, hey, I don't know. I just want to work with you. Can I
Hmm.
help you? Can you help me?
Hmm.
So I think by having a really clear understanding of what you want to accomplish, you multiply your efforts with everything you do significantly.
Hmm.
So really slowing down to speed up, I think, is the
Hmm.
key to early success. The people who always come out of the gate and, like you said, I think become those people that we all kind of awe and admire is people who were on fire and knew exactly what they wanted. They were laser focused on the desired result. And those
Hmm.
people always know how to get the fastest results to get to where they want to go because they can clearly see it. And
Hmm.
I did not for many years. And I would
Hmm.
always tell people to slow down and focus on what they want first before
Hmm.
they start throwing in. You'll still get there, right? Like we know you can still get there, but the
Hmm.
amount of leverage and effort you have to put in is significantly higher when you don't know where you're going.
Yep. Good, 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 good. So, what's one book you're reading now or have read recently that has real impact on what you're doing now?
I'm actually rereading a book called Who Not How.
Hmm.
And that book is, if you've never picked it up before, for anyone who's listening, it is such a paradigm shift.
Hmm.
When you're an entrepreneur, you want to wear all the hats, or you don't want to, but you have to essentially. And then you
Hmm.
read that book and you realize you actually don't have to. It's okay. It's okay to bring in smarter people than you. As a matter of fact, it's encouraged. Um,
In fact, you get ahead faster if you do.
exactly. It is incredible. It's such a, one of those books you just take a deep breath and go, wow,
Hmm.
that that sounds incredible. I would
Good.
love to do more of that. So
Yeah,
really good book.
it is a really good book. I love it. Yeah. So you've had a great journey. What you most proud of?
Oh, by far my kids. And even more so, if I'm being really honest, I think I'm most proud of, and this is one of those things that it took me a while for people to bring it to my attention to me, for me to realize how proud of it I am, is that there's honestly no level of business success that means enough to me to sacrifice raising kids well. And
Hmm.
it's just one of those things that means more to me than anything is just making sure I have great kids. So raising a really good, being the kind of person that my kids want to grow up to be is more important to me than anything else.
Back to priorities. Good, 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 good. If you could significantly improve one area of your business tomorrow, you got a magic wand. We're in a Harry Potter movie. You're going to swish and flick or whatever that was, and you were going to improve one area tomorrow. What would it
Hmm.
be?
I would say 100% it would be the AI side, AI innovations.
Hmm.
Um, that's one of those things that we're still kind of diving into and getting to know better.
Hmm.
But we have this expansive information and knowledge of all these clients we've served and how they need to be served, and a lot of deep understanding of what they want and how they need, how we need to interact with them.
Hmm.
But the implementation of how AI, because I feel like a lot of this is still very much so kind of testing. It's like how much interaction does somebody actually want with a bot, and how much are they
Hmm.
willing to interact, and how far can you take that completely hands-off interaction versus having people involved. So if there's some sort of magic sauce for that and somebody's figured it out, that's where I would point my wand, I think.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. All right. Most important question.
Okay.
How can people who want to get to know more get in contact with you?
Great question. So I've got a public Facebook profile. I'm pretty active on there. So Facebook, Samuel Richardson. I've got a big banner that says founder of It's All Good. So that's one way. And then the other thing is I would love for people to follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of kind of day-to-day operations and kind of fun videos of us cleaning out estates and what's going on behind the scenes and the day of the life of a junk removal guy. So that is at itsallgood.com. So right there, it's all good.
Mhm.
It's all good on both Instagram and Facebook. So you can follow our pages there.
Very good. Very good. All right. Last question.
Okay.
What's most inspiring to you today?
Oh man. So I actually just this morning, heard a message, and it is it is by far the most inspiring thing to me that I hear and think about often. It's that same concept I just told you. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's what pushes me through every hard moment. I heard a gentleman talk on the fact that he basically had a chance to for me personally, let me just rephrase this. I wake up every day and think about when my dad passed away. I sat in a room and I heard a bunch of people who I've never met before talk about the impact that he had had into their lives. And I think about these kind of invisible threads that we're sowing every day, and people who I may never see again, or maybe people I meet, and the impact they go out there. But whenever I sat through my dad's funeral, I had that it was 100 people come up and say, "Your dad did this for me at this point in my life. This that your dad did this for me at the point in my life." And these are people who I've never seen. And I think about that ripple effect of living a good life and what that does, and the fact that I'm so blessed to have an opportunity in a business where I get to impact and see so many people. That motivates and inspires me every single day to see these kind of ripple effects, and then to think one day, I hope my kids have the liberty of sitting in a room and having people say nice things, that they look up and they're like, man, I'm so proud that was my dad's legacy, that was his life, right? So that's really what it's all about for me.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Back to the emotion of the people you're touching.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It all comes back. That's fantastic. Awesome. So this has been a great conversation. I really enjoyed hearing your story. So thank you all for sharing. So to the audience, I encourage all of you watching to save this show, come back and watch it again. Sam has given us several really good nuggets of ideas and information and insights into building a life and building a business. And so I think it's worth coming back to and listening to again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications every time we get a new conversation like this one. And thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thank you to Samuel for sharing his story. So thank you
Thank you
all.
for having me. Thank you for having me, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Very welcome.